So far, guys, I've shared with you 6 facts or properties is what I've called them, 6 rules about logs. I'm going to give you guys 3 new ones today. The purpose of these 3 properties is so that you could take expressions which have multiple numbers of logs, and you can actually put them together into one log. And so that's the properties. And the word for putting them together is condense. So we're going to have 2 or more logs. We're going to put them together into one log using these 3 new properties. That's useful for simplifying. It's also useful for solving equations. So that's why we're learning that today. All right, so let's go ahead and begin. Now, here are our 3 new log properties. Write with me. All right, so first of all, I'm going to call the first one A. Here's how this one works. Suppose you have 2 logs that are being added together. Suppose you have 2 logarithms that are being added together. You can put those 2 logarithms together into one log if you take this and multiply them together. So I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so that's our first one that I'm going to share with you today. The second log property, I'll call it property B. If you guys have 2 logarithms that are being subtracted from each other, then you could put those together as one logarithm if you divide this by this. So log is A of m over n. Here's the path for you. All right, and then last property we'll look at. Let's say that you have a logarithm and it's being multiplied by something. So I'll just put an x in the front. Instead of thinking of that as one logarithm being multiplied by something, you could turn that into a single logarithm where that number that you had in the front is actually a power on the m there. So those are going to be the 3 properties that we use today. I'll be calling them A, B, and C throughout the day, so you might want to make sure they're labeled. And I do see a lot of people a little distracted this morning. Just give you guys a fair warning. In the past, people find this lesson to be confusing, so you might want to give me your full attention. Cal, you want to pay attention today because people get confused on these, okay? Here we go. All right. So let's start off with example 1. I'll write the instructions here. The instructions will say condense each expression into one logarithm. All right, so notice how this is subtraction, right? What property, A, B, or C? It's B. So according to property B, I could put those together into one log if I do this one divided by this one. So it's going to be A over 4. That's it. I'll put what property we used there. Oh, that was B. Sorry, not A. All right. So notice that we have a plus here, so that's property A. So property A says I could put these together as one log if I take this and multiply them together. So that'll be XY. Okay. And that's property A. Let's say I had 6 log of x. All right, so for that one, when you have a log with a number in front of it, or a variable, it could be a variable, whatever's in the front, that's going to become an exponent on this thing here. So this is going to become an exponent there. And so the answer for this one will be log x to the 6th. Okay? So once again, what we're doing is we're condensing logs using these 3 properties. Why? Because it helps with simplifying and solving equations, which we'll get to a little bit later. This was a property C, though. All right? So we're going to go in levels here. This is the basic level because I'm just applying the property straight up, but you'll see we're going to add some layers of difficulty to this as we go. So let's go ahead and let you practice the basic idea here first. This is student practice 1. So all right, see if you guys can rewrite these using the properties. So you got to think about what property applies and then use it, okay? All right, so just to review real quick because we are going into the next level up. So you got to be able to recognize when to use these properties. Property C is when you have a number in the front like that. Property B is when you have subtraction. Property A is when you have addition. Property C, back up to the top, tells us that I could take this number and make it a power, so that's why this is my answer. Property B tells me that I can put these together as one log if I do this divided by this, so I get x over 5. Property A tells me I can combine these two together if I do this times this, okay? And you get 5 times y. So subtraction becomes a fraction, addition becomes multiplication, the number in the front becomes a power. All right, so moving along. Let's go ahead and take it up a notch here. Example 2. So there are two properties that we would be using here. Do you guys see what two properties would apply? A and C. Nice job. We know it's A because there's a plus here. We know it's C because there's numbers in front of the log. So when you have that, so the reason why this is a level up because you got two properties at once. And so how do you know which property to do first? Well, the first thing we're going to do is you're going to apply property C first. Okay, so that means wherever you have a number in front of your log, you're going to write that as a power. So this is going to be log base 2 of x to the third power. Yeah, so that becomes a power. Same thing over here. This is going to be log base 3 of y to the second power because so that's property C. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to take the number that's in front of the log and you're going to make it become a power. Okay? Property C first. After that, you're going to do either property A or B depending on what the problem is. So since I've got a plus here, that's property A. So property A tells me that if this is a plus, I can make that one log by putting this and this together with multiplication. And I'm done. Okay? Oh, I screwed up. That's supposed to be a this was supposed to be a 3. Would you guys fix this one? And I left this off. That's supposed to be so all these should have a little 3 by the log. They shouldn't have a 2. That was a mistake. That's a good question. So Shakir asked, what happens if this base and this base aren't the same? You actually wouldn't be able to combine them. So you wouldn't be able to do these properties. The properties only work if they have the same base. So good question. Thank you for asking. Any other questions about this one? So what property do we do first? C. And then either A or B after that. And since this is plus, we did A. Let's go ahead and take a look at another one here. All right. So Brittany, what property do we start off with? Property. She knew that. All right. So go ahead and do property C first. I'll ask you what you got. Go ahead and do property C first. I'll ask you what you got. That's right. So property C says take this number and make it a power. So there we go. All right. Let me ask Adrian, what property would I use next? Good. And how do you know that? Because there's a minus sign. So that's property B. So I'm going to let you guys go ahead and do property B. I'll ask you what you got there. Go ahead and do property B real quick. All right. Let's move on to example 3. I'm going to show you 2 ways to do this problem here. Log base 2, we'll say cube root of x. Okay, I'm going to show you 2 ways to do it. I'm going to show you a long way. And you're like, okay, so that means obviously a short way is coming, right? And you might say, why don't you show us the short way? Because you know that's what we're going to use, Mr. Bailey. Well, I'm a math teacher. And the short way doesn't make sense, but it is faster. The long way makes sense, and it's why the short way works. So I'm going to teach you why the short way works, but then after that, we're just going to use the short way, okay? So here we go. First of all, log base 2. I can write this as x to what power, you guys? 1 over 3. Oh, wait. Wait. Mr. Bailey. I'm tripping because I'm teaching the same thing in my pre-cal class, but they're doing it a little bit differently. So I need to, can we rewrite this? Forgive me. Don't hate me too much. I'm doing something backwards. So scribble that out. Let's start over. I'm going to give you a different problem. Sorry. Log base 2 of x over 3. Sorry about that. No, that's just a smudge. All right, so let's start over. My bad. Okay, so first of all, you're going to see logs that look like this. They're a log, and it's. I want you to understand there's a difference between what I've written here. Don't write this. Just look. This is not the same thing as the one on the left there. Okay, those are different. That one is, that comes from property B, that second one. But this one's different. The whole log, not just the x, but the whole log is being divided by 3. So I'm going to show you how to deal with that. First of all, the first step is to write it like this instead. So go ahead and do that. Now, dividing something by 3 is the same thing as multiplying by 1/3, so that's why I did that. But now that I've rewritten it as a multiplication, what property? That's property C. So I can take this 1/3 and I can make it become a power on the x instead. So that's property C. Now, I don't think the software I use to generate your tests and homework and stuff, they're not going to leave the answer like this because a 1/3 power is really a root. So they're going to write it as a root. Okay? This will be the final answer for that. Now that's the long way. All right? But I want to show you the long way because this is mathematically how it works. Dividing by 3 is the same thing as multiplying by 1/3. You can use property C to change that 1/3 into an exponent, and fraction exponents are roots. So that's all stuff that we've learned, just connecting the idea there with logic. But we're going to skip all the logic. I'm just going to show you how you get right to the answer. It's pretty simple. So here's the short way. This is the way we're going to use, but I at least wanted you to know the process, okay? Here's what we're going to do. When you have a logarithm like that, where the 3 is on the bottom, what you're going to do is you're going to put a radical here. You're going to cross the 3 off and move it up there. The same answer. Okay? Much easier. Saves you a lot of time. Skip all the steps. I'll give you another example. But there it is. So that's the short way. That's the way we're going to use. This is really the math behind it, but we're going to use the short way. Let me give you another one. And this time we're just going to do the short way. Log x over 6. So what do I put on the x? A radical. The 6, I'm going to take it off the bottom and I'm going to put it right there, and there's my answer. That's it. Okay? So I'll let you guys try one of these. I'm sure you'll be fine with it, but just want to give you a chance to try it completely on your own there. Let's do ln of 5 over, let's say, 2. Bless you. All right, guys, so there it is, ln square root of 5. Now, just so you know, with square roots, you don't have to put the 2. So on a test, it would probably look like that. Okay? All other roots, you do put a number there, but with square roots, you don't have to, and so it probably wouldn't be there on the test. But technically, there is a 2 there. All right? So, and I also want you guys to understand this is property C. Okay, it's just a really weird version of property C, but it's property C because the long way shows us you're really taking a number in the front and making it a power. All right, so we're going to take it up a level here. Example, am I on 4 now? Okay. What time does class get out? 42? All right. So we'll call this level 3, or level 4, I guess. Hi. Yeah, so square roots, you know, like when in math, if you see an x, there's an invisible 1 in the front. It's like that. With square roots, there's an invisible 2 there. You can write it. You're not wrong. It's just that on a multiple choice test, don't be surprised if they don't write the 2. But if it's any other root, like a 3 or a 4, they'll have to write it. So. All right. So what's up with our level 4 here problem is that, as you can see, we have more than just 2 logs. Okay. So that's kind of it. So, but the same kind of steps apply really. So I'm going to ask Jessica, what property do we start with first? We always start with C. So I want you guys to see if you could do C. You're going to apply property C to 2 of these. One of them is the weird version of property C that we just did. The other one is the normal version of property C. And one of them doesn't use property C. So see if you guys can figure it out. I'll give you a second. Apply property C. There's 2 of them that you can apply property C to. One of them you won't. Of the 2 that you will apply the property to, one of them is the weird version that we just talked about. The other one's the normal property C. I'll give you about 30 seconds to try it, check with a neighbor, and then I'll ask you what you got. All right, so let me ask Shakir, what did you do with this first one here? Okay, so it's log base 3, and what number did you put on the root? Good. All right, next one. That was property C. Haley, do you want to tell me what you put for the second one? If you don't want to say, you can say, I don't want to answer. That's okay. But if you do want to answer, just answer, okay? Alondra, what'd you put for the second one? Okay. Badal, what'd you put for the second one? Great. The third one is the one that doesn't have a number in the front, so we won't use that. All right. So I'm going to make a little note here. We're going to do properties A and B at the same time. And I'm going to encourage you guys to write a little note here. Positive logs are going to go on top. Negative logs go on the bottom. I'll show you what I mean by that. So notice that this one and this one are positives, and this one has a negative in front of it. So the negative, because of property B, that's the one that goes on the bottom. The other ones just get multiplied together, and they're going to go on the top. So it's going to look like this. Log base 3. This one and this one go on the top. The 6 goes on the bottom. And then we're all done. I'd like to squeeze one more in. We have 5 minutes. We won't do a student practice, but there's one more thing that you'll see. So let's breeze through that, and then we'll call it a day. One more. Suppose I have ln of x over 3 plus ln of y over 3. Okay, well, I think you guys are probably comfortable with this at this point. We're going to change that into a cube root. We're also going to change this into a cube root. That's property C. It's the weird version of property C. Next, since it's addition, we're going to do property A. So this is going to be ln of the cube root of x times the cube root of y. Now here's where the new thing comes in. So I'll wait for a second. Make sure you got that all written down. Here it is. If you have 2 or more roots, I'll just put the symbol actually, you can put them together as one. So I'll let you write that, and then I'll show you what it looks like, and then we'll be done. And this is just a property of radicals. This is just how they work. So I've got 2 roots. They're the same kind. They're both a third root. So what we can do is we could put those together, put both letters under one common root like that. So that's what it'll look like. That's the only other thing I wanted to share with you guys today. So after you guys got that written down, you're good to pack up. We'll call it a day. We'll see you guys on Tuesday for your quiz. I'll try to get the study guide and video up for you sometime today, okay?